And welcome back to Rowdy.com's continuing look at NASCAR Illustrated's preseason top 20. I am joined once again by Reed Spencer, staff writer for Sporting News and lead writer for the Sporting News NASCAR Wire service. And we are nearing the top of the heap here, Reed. We're up to number 2 as selected by NASCAR Illustrated. Carl Edwards, I have to admit, full disclosure, I put him in at number 1 when I voted on this lineup.
Well, if you did, Carl will hate you for that, because it's like, don't throw me in the briar patch. Carl has been saying all preseason, please don't pick me to win the championship. Please don't pick me to win the championship, which people did after the 2008 season when he won 9 times and led the league in wins that year. You know, based on the 2 victories at the end of last season, Carl looks really strong going into 2011, but he would prefer to be a little bit under the radar, particularly now that he's in a contract year, and he is probably the most desirable free agent in the NASCAR market at this point. I know that when Carl was mired in his slump of 70 races, he was shopping himself around a little bit, looking for other options, because, as Carl said to me earlier last week, he said, what I want to do is win championships. I want to put myself in the best situation to do that, and that's my overriding concern. He doesn't care, about the money as much as he does about the opportunity to win a title, and that's the one thing that he feels is missing from his resume.
I can't help but thinking of him heading into 2011 similarly to the way I thought about Denny Hamlin heading into 2010, finishing the previous season on an upswing, sort of announcing his presence, and then starting, well, Denny Hamlin didn't exactly start strong, but he certainly was the dominant car all of last season. Is that a fair parallel?
I think it is, because I think the Roush cars as a whole have figured out the handling problems that plagued them up until about Chicagoland of last year. And that being the case, I think they're poised to do very well this year. They had some glitches in terms of their simulation programs and got those straightened out, got the software straightened out, and now they can trust what the sims are telling them to do at the racetrack, which puts them ahead of the game. And consequently, I think Carl, being probably the top talent in the Roush stable, certainly is in a position to contend, and I think he'll do so.
Yeah, it was interesting at the media tour that they seemed to be seated in pecking order, and even though Matt Kenseth has won a championship, Carl was seated the closest to Jack.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and there are those who say that Carl is Jack's golden boy, and Jack's number 1 priority this year really has to be trying to re-sign Carl, get it done, get it quickly out of the way so that it doesn't become a distraction throughout the season with everybody nagging Carl about, have you signed your contract yet?
Yeah, and do you suspect, or if you were a betting man, would you say that Carl probably re-signs with Roush?
I think he wants to re-sign with Roush. I think, it's still an open question, because I think he also wants to see how the cars perform this year, whether they carry the momentum that they established at the end of last year into this season. And if they do, I think it's a good bet that he will re-sign with Roush, provided Roush is willing to pay him what he's worth.
All right, I think we all assume it's a given that Carl Edwards will make the chase for the championship. Will he be there fighting for the crown come Homestead next season?
I believe he will. I believe that this will be, his season to shine. I think that he, Denny, obviously Jimmy Johnson, and Kevin Harvick will all be in a pretty strong 4-way fight to the finish.
All right, that's Rowdy.com's look at the number 2 driver as predicted by NASCAR Illustrated. Thanks to Reed Spencer for joining me. We have one more to go. You'll never guess who comes in at number 1.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.